imagine that you have two children, and they're trying to get their father, and they're knocking on the door, and the father, for whatever reason, he can't respond. And so you have two responses. The first child, so he says, okay, I guess my father doesn't want me here, so he walks away. And the second child, so he realizes that it doesn't make sense that the father didn't respond. So it makes more sense that there's just something is wrong with the way I asked, and so he keeps on knocking. And he doesn't give up until finally that the father got out of wherever he was stuck, or was able to answer, whatever has changed, and then he was able to get there. So which of these children actually respects their father more? So the first one, a person could think, well, the first one, that he respects his father. The father did answer. That means that I should respect your privacy. I respect that you want quiet right now. The second one, he was annoying. He kept on knocking. That's objectively obnoxious to keep on knocking. But the truth is that Rebbe Nachman is teaching us that sometimes really it's a greater respect to not accept what the answer is. Meaning that when it seems like what I'm being answered is something that it doesn't make sense, that the person that's answering me would say that, then to assume that he doesn't like me, that he doesn't want me, which is actually the opposite of what he stands for, so that's actually offensive. That's actually disrespectful to assume that and react in a way that would make that assumption. And so it's actually a greater act of respect to be obnoxious. Okay, so this is the idea that we're going to be discussing tonight, and this is an idea that Rebbe Nachman calls Azut diktusha, holy brazenness. And this is something that Rebbe Nachman talks about in the Sichot Haran, Siman Laban in the 30th chapter of the Sichot Haran. He quotes from Chazal. The Gemara says in Beit Daf Chafhei that lo nitna Torah liYisrael ela mipnei she'azim him. That the reason why Hashem chose to give the Torah to the Jewish people is because we are azim, because we have this brazenness, and there's something positive. Something positive about being brazen, not to be confused with the negative brazenness, and that's what the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos, as panim legehenim, that a person with a certain brazenness, a person who really doesn't care about anybody and just says what's on his mind, if it doesn't care if it's going to offend anybody. So that's a person that's unsensitive is going straight to Gehenna, it says. But there's a certain brazenness which is actually very healthy and which is very necessary. And that's what it says, that Azut Diktusha, that's what's called the holy brazenness, and that's what it says, that it's because of this brazenness that we have that Hashem gave us the Torah. So Rebbe Nachman teaches us tonight. We're learning a Sefer Sichot Haran, and we're up to Torah Samech Tet. Okay, we're going to hopefully be doing 3 paragraphs tonight because they're really interrelated. So Rebbe Nachman says in Samech Tes, Zamru l'misha menatzchin oiseh v'sameach. Okay, this is the Gemara in Pesachim, and the Gemara says that one of the words which is used in the book of Tehillim is lam natzeach. Lam natzeach. That when David HaMelech wrote the Sefer Tehillim, so one of the introductions to many of the Psalms is this word lam natzeach. So the Gemara says, what does it mean lam natzeach? So lam natzeach is a kind of conjugation of Zamru l'misha menatzchin oiseh v'sameach, that Hashem is happy when we're menatzeach Him, when we are victorious over Him. Okay, and so what does that mean? This is an idea. This is very close to Rebbe Nachman's heart, because the word lamnatzeach comes from the word netzach, and netzach means victory, and this was one of Rebbe Nachman's greatest traits, because he noted that Nachman is the same gematria as Netzach. So Netzach is one of the Sfirot, and it means to be victorious. And specifically, when we talk about the Sfira of Netzach, it means that this feeling that I'm not going to take no for an answer, I'm going to overcome all of my adversity, it doesn't matter what's coming against me, that I'm just going to keep on going. I'm just going to keep on fighting until the end, until I make it. And so this is what the Gemara says, that we should praise Hashem. We should glorify Hashem because He has this trait that He's menatzchen v'sameach. That when we are victorious over Him, when we beat Him, so to speak, so then He's happy about that. So He explains, we need to win Him. We need to beat Him. Because a person might feel like Hashem doesn't want him, like Hashem is just throwing him away, is distancing him, and he understands why, because I did so many averes that I wouldn't want to be my friend either. And so I get it. It seems to me like Hashem is really pushing me away. And even at the very moment, I'm not such a great Jew. Nevertheless, a person has to be very strong. And he has to throw himself before Hashem. And to hold out your arms. That Hashem should have compassion and Hashem should bring us close. Because a person should just say before Hashem, despite everything, but Hashem, I just want to be a Yid. I just want to be a good Jew. What you're really doing is that I'm trying to win over Hashem. I'm trying to beat him. That he's throwing me out, and I'm saying, no, I'm stronger than you. I'm going to overcome what you're saying. And Hashem is happy about the fact that we are victorious over him. So he says the same thing. This is a similar Torah in the Sichot Haran, in Kuf Chav Daled, 124. That over there he says an interesting point, that because Hashem enjoys so much when we are victorious over him, so he actually sends us the ideas of what to say. He says, Rebbe Nachman, the context is that, if you recall last week, he started talking about Azut. He started talking about this important practice of speaking before Hashem, making time in our schedule to just have this private time, this private meeting, that I'm going to just speak out my heart and talk to Hashem like a best friend. And so last week he spoke more about the cheshbon nefesh aspect, but in other places he talks about that you should. It's also an element of tefillah. It's also an element of prayer. And so one of the things that you should be doing, says Rebbe Nachman, is that there's something that you want in life, so you should speak it out with Hashem in the form of arguments, in the form of Hashem, I need this. You should be giving this to me. And so this is really what he believed, that this is the way that a person should speak. And he says that Hashem actually wants us to do it. Because Hashem actually wants us to do it, he actually inspires us and gives us the script. He tells us, he inspires us of what we should be saying. If Hashem wouldn't inspire us, Hashem wouldn't tell us what to say, how can we do it? How could a person overcome Hashem? How can a person outsmart Hashem? Hashem is so smart. So the only way that we can outsmart Hashem is only if Hashem tells us how to outsmart him. Hashem gives us the cheat sheet. Hashem gives us tells us what to say. When he says this, you say this. And so Hashem himself is behind the scenes, telling us what to say, inspiring us of how to argue. Okay, so this is the idea of arguing with Hashem. So what do we mean practically? So Rebbe Nachman says on a simple level, so it means that a person feels like I'm not close. What does it mean to feel like I'm not close? I feel like nothing's changing. I feel like nothing's changing in my feeling of my heart. I feel like nothing's changing in my behavior. I feel like I'm trying to inspire myself, and despite how much I try, it's not working. I have certain habits, I have certain tendencies that I'm trying to break. I'm trying to be more inspired. I'm trying to do whatever it says. I'm going by the books. I'm going and inspiring myself, listening to shiur. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm going to the great meetings, and nothing is working. Nothing's clicking. Nothing is feeling right. And I'm not changing. Hashem is not changing. And it seems like there's just a brick wall. Okay, and this is the message that I'm getting, that I have this brick wall. So Rebbe Nachman says that you just have to keep on going. You have to tell Hashem, this is not okay. You should know that this is not okay, because you're God and you're just and you're perfect. And how could it be that a perfect God like you would do something so messed up like this? I deserve to be close to you. You created me in order to be close to you. So enough of this already. And this is Rebbe Nachman says this is a legitimate way to speak before Hashem. And Hashem actually wants us to speak like this. Hashem wants us to feel like this. And that when we do this and we succeed in coming close, so then Hashem is so happy that we did it. Okay, so this is a person should never be like that child that says, "Oh, I guess my father doesn't like me," because your father, of course, your father loves you. If that kid that says, "Okay, so I guess he doesn't like me," he is actually the most disrespectful kid, because to really think that my father doesn't want me, that is the most obnoxious, the most offensive thing that you could possibly say. So we find this in many sources. I want to go through first of all to clarify that this is absolutely a Jewish idea. This is absolutely a conventional idea. This is nothing so revolutionary. That first of all, it starts with Avraham Avinu. that Abraham argues with Hashem. Where does Abraham argue with Hashem? When it comes to stone. That Hashem says, I'm going to destroy stone. And so Abraham says, whoa, Hashem, but what if there's also tzaddikim in stone? I get it that there's lots of wicked people, but what if there's also tzaddikim? So that if there's 50 tzaddikim, so does it make sense to kill 50 tzaddikim just because of a collective punishment? Everybody else has to that just because everybody else is bad, so these 50 tzaddikim decide should also die. You should just undo this whole decree because it's not fair. And Hashem says, you know what, Abraham, that's a good point. That's a good point. I'm going to do like you said. And then Abraham says, oh, whoa, hold on. But what if there's not 50, but there's 45? Does that really make sense? That because 5 people are missing, then everybody has to die? So Hashem says, okay, Abraham, no, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to, if there's 45 people, then he goes down to 40, then he goes down to 30, then he goes down to 20, then he goes down to 10. And that's where he leaves it. And we see from this whole conversation that it's this absurd reality that who the heck do you think you are? You're a human being. You're a creation. You're one in infinity of Hashem, and how dare you have the audacity to speak like that before perfection, before the source of all knowledge, before the source of all justice, before the source of all morality, before the source of all kindness. Okay, it could be that you think that this is not so nice, but shut up, because who asked you? Hashem is the definition of nice, and it makes no sense. And yet this is recorded in the Torah. This is recorded in the Torah that this is the way that Hashem wants us to treat Him, and this is the way that Hashem wants us to speak to Him, and that's because Hashem actually enjoys seeing when we stand up for our truths. He enjoys seeing that we enjoy standing up for our values, for our compassion, for all of the different milas that we want to stand for. So when we stand up for that against Hashem, so that really is impressive to Hashem, and it's considered a beautiful thing. We see a similar thing by Hannah. Hannah didn't have children. And the Gemara says that she was argumentative with Hashem about the fact that she doesn't have children, and she was saying that Hashem, this doesn't make any sense. That it can't be that you don't have. You ran out of babies. You ran out of souls. You don't have anybody. And how could it be that you meant for me not to have a child? Did you forget that I'm a woman? She says to Hashem, the Gemara says that look, you gave me breasts. The whole reason why you gave me breasts is to be able to nurse a child. You made a mistake? You forgot to give me a child, and so she's argumentative with Hashem that to prove her point that there must have been some mistake. There must have been some mistake that you forgot to give me a child, and so we see from it that this is a legitimate way of arguing when you're trying to get your point. Now, I would note that I think that there's something that people misunderstand about this, and that is that in all of the examples that what Rebbe Nachman is talking about, and what Avraham was talking about, and what Hannah was talking about, so all of these things have in common is that we're talking about the future. Okay, we're talking about arguing with Hashem about the future. What we're not talking about is that you can't argue about the past. Okay, so there's no room to argue with Hashem that Hashem, why did you kill this person? Okay, because if Hashem killed the person, that means that he was supposed to die, right? And to get angry at Hashem, because you think that Hashem made a mistake, so that is actually absurd. Because really Hashem is perfect, and really that Hashem knows what He's doing, and really there's no mistakes, and so I remember there was people were talking about this specific thing. Years ago, I was in yeshiva, and there was a horrible terrorist attack in Mumbai, and I think a whole family of shluchim that was murdered, and I remember people there were a lot of Chabad people that were standing up and saying, we're angry with Hashem, and we're not okay with this, and people were quoting these Gemaras, and it's you see that you're allowed to argue with Hashem, and that's not okay. I understand that it's very sad to have people die that don't deserve to die, but to be angry at Hashem for something that He already did, So that's not okay. That's where bitachon comes in. That's where trusting Hashem, that Hashem knows what He's doing, comes in. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about not taking no for an answer when we want something and we know that Hashem deep down wants us to really get that thing. Okay? So anybody who has something bad that happened in their life that can't be changed and is angry with Hashem, so that we need to go back to the bitachon, and you can listen to my class on bitachon, but we're talking about when something moving forward, when something can and should change in the reality that we're in. And that's what we're saying, that just because it seems like the answer is no, don't give up. Be a lam natzach, be a netzach kind of Jew, and just keep on fighting and keep on arguing. So the Gemara says that there's a very interesting story. There's this guy in Gemara Bava Kama Daf Nun called Nechunya Chofer Sichin. Nechunya, there was this guy that he was living during the time of the Beis Hamikdash, and he was a very righteous person, and his custom was that he would go around making wells, digging wells, for the purpose of that when people would come for Aliyah L'Regel, people would come to the Beis Hamikdash for the Chagim, and so they were coming from far out places, and there was lots of they were tired from their travels and they were thirsty, so he would make in various places that they should have wells, that they should be able to quench their thirst, that they shouldn't be so thirsty in their traveling. So that was his nickname, Nechunya Chofer Sichin. And so one day, so his daughter, she fell into a well. And so that everybody was going crazy, and they told the rabbi of the city, his name was Rebbe Nachman, and they told Rebbe Nachman, and Rebbe Nachman said it'll be okay. And they told him an hour later that the rabbi, she's still stuck. Do something. He said she'll be okay. And the third hour, she told him, Rabbi, she's still not okay. And he said she's already gotten up. And so they found out that she miraculously she'd gotten out, and she told this whole story that she saw this old man with this ram, and it was a miraculous event that got her out. And they went to Rebbe Nachman, and he says, "Wow, you're a prophet. How do you know? And so Rebbe Nachman says, "Loi navi anechi, loi ben navi anechi." I'm not a prophet. I'm not even the child of a prophet. I said a simple thing. Could it possibly be that the very thing that this tzaddik was nitzta'er alav, that he really invested in, he really troubled himself to work hard to be able to, this very thing of wells, could it possibly be that his daughter was going to die from that very thing that was his mitzvah? It can't be. So that's what, and the Gemara says, he was saying that the person that invested his whole lives in doing mitzvahs with wells, it doesn't make sense that Hashem, who's a perfect judge, would take that very thing that very thing that was his expertise, his mitzvah object, and use that very thing to kill his daughter. Okay. So it must be that she's gonna be okay. So the Gemara says that Afal Piken, Meis Benai Batzama, that Rebbe Nachman Chofer Sichin, that despite this, but that later in history, later in life, his son died of thirst. So the obvious question, all the Rishonim ask, how did that work with what you just said? Rebbe Nachman said that doesn't make sense. That in Hashem's ultimate, infinite wisdom of justice, so this doesn't make sense. So how could that be? So there's a very fascinating idea. It's brought down in the Rishonim, in the Sichot Haran, that he said that, you know what the difference is? That when his son died from thirst, that was after Reb Chanina ben Daisa passed away. So how does that make a difference? Like other Rishonim say that it was after the father passed away, after Rebbe Nachman, the guy who did the wells. So that makes sense. They're like, as long as you're alive, then your merit stays, but if you're not alive anymore. But there's another Rishon that says that no, it's after Reb Chanina ben Daisa passes away. So what's the difference? So they explain that really, like you said, you, when I said this logic, when I said this theory, so you weren't so impressed, right? That okay, you did a mitzvah with wells, so that means that your child can't die from a well. It's like, maybe he deserves to die from a well. Like so what? And so the truth is that there is a side like that. There is an argument that says, so what? And the thing is that Reb Chanina ben Daisa, he did see that this is a logical argument. And because Reb Chanina ben Daisa was so holy, and he said this before Hashem, so Hashem said, you know what? You're the tzaddik. If that's what you say, so be it. If you really believe that according to your understanding of my infinite justice, then it doesn't make sense for his daughter to die from a well, then I guess I'm going to go like you. But as soon as you're not alive anymore, then that argument stops staying true, because in Hashem's objective argument, like he believes like you, that it doesn't really make so much sense. And so he no longer felt obliged to follow this argument that because his father was such a tzaddik when it comes to wells, that's a reason that his son shouldn't die of thirst. So this is very much a fascinating thing, that a tzaddik has this ability to change Hashem's mind, and Hashem is going to run the world based on the thought process of the tzaddik and the person that we as human beings, despite our being so small and so helpless, so we can actually change Hashem. We can actually change the outcome of what happens in life. So Rebbe Nachman says a similar thing in the next paragraph. He says, "Ana v'yamar hayitochen she'anu manichim es Hashem yisparach she'yasa v'yachshav ligzak zeres ba'olam." He says, does it make sense that we're going to just allow Hashem to just go and make decrees? So it says in parentheses, "Ki az ba'oisez man nishma she'yotzin zeres ha'yisrach Hashem." Rebbe Nachman, they were talking at a time that the government was talking about making certain decrees against the Jewish people. So he said, so Rebbe Nachman tells Chassidim, like that was the background of this shir, that like everybody on the news, they were talking about that, yes, there's going to be this decree, there's going to be this issue, and so Rebbe Nachman says, guys, are you guys going to actually let Hashem just sit back and allow Hashem to make these decrees? Come on. So what was he saying? If Hashem is going to be busy making a decree, so we have to say, Hashem, come over here. When a Yid wants to speak to Hashem, then Hashem, you know what Hashem does? Hashem just drops everything. And he just wants to speak to you. Yes, what can I do for you? What's going on? Yeah, you had a hard day. Your boss was mean to you. Oh, and he just, there is no czar anymore. There is no chmaini anymore. There is no like, the only thing that matters is that, oh, bye, that sounds so horrible. I can't believe she said that to you. And so this is his plan. That how can we undo the gzeres? How can we make sure that no gzeres happens? Because if we talk to Hashem enough, then Hashem is just going to drop everything. Okay, so full transparency, I don't understand what Rebbe Nachman is talking about, because Hashem is perfect. Hashem is super powerful. Hashem can also give you full attention and also make whatever gzeres he wants to make. So I don't really understand logically what Rebbe Nachman is saying over here, but I do understand that Rebbe Nachman understood that there is some kind of idea that when we are more talking to Hashem, when we're doing Hespedidus more, that's somehow going to help, that is not going to be gzeres. But I'm more interested, and I do believe that this is precisely why it's here, why this Torah ayin is specifically after the previous one, because it's really the exact same point, that the mentality that Rebbe Nachman is expressing over here is, what, we're going to let Hashem just do what he wants? We can't just let Hashem do what he wants, that we might get destroyed, chas v'shalom. So we have to show Hashem who's boss. We have to make sure we take control of our future and make sure that these gzeres don't happen. Okay, so this is really the same idea that we have this power, we have an ability, and Hashem gives us this ability to be brazen and to be strong and to tell Hashem that we have an idea, we have thoughts, we have a path, we have we have desires, and don't ignore us, and allow us to help you guide us and guide reality to the place that it needs to get. Yeah. At this point, Rebbe Nachman has another Torah, which I really think is also very, very connected, even though it's not so explicit what the connection is. And I'll show you why it's actually a connection of the very same points. Okay, this is something which actually related to Shavivim. This is we're right now in the last couple of days of Shavivim. Shavivim ends Mishpatim, and so Rebbe Nachman says as follows: Be'inyan ma'ashakasav b'zarei hakadosh shapagam habris b'fad man da'ishit zara berikanya chas v'shalom ein ma'il tshuva. So he's talking about the prohibition for men specifically of spilling seed of zara levatala. That there's apparently there's a passage in the Zohar that says that a person that does such an avera, so there is no tshuva. So Amar Rabbeinu Zichron Livracha, Eino davar ken. There is no such thing. Rak ala kol ma'il tshuva. There's always tshuva. That I'm the only one who knows what's pshat in the Zohar. That there's always tshuva, even if a person does this sin many, many times. That don't worry about it. The most important thing is just stop and just keep it. That say that from now on I'm not going to do any averes. So if a person is able to change himself, then don't worry, you absolutely are going to merit to do tshuva. So this is it's certainly even without any connection, this is certainly a good idea. That the message is that you can always do tshuva. If you read somewhere, it says somewhere that you can't do tshuva, don't listen, even if the guy that's telling you is the Zohar. So that there's always tshuva. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. That there always is there's no such thing as not being able to do tshuva. So why do I think that this is relevant? So to explain why it's relevant, I need to give a little bit of a background, and that is that there's a story in the Gemara in Chagiga. That the Gemara says in Chagiga there was a guy named Acher. Acher, so his name was Elisha ben Avuya. He was the Rebbe of Rebbe Meir. He's one of the Holy Tanaim. And then something happened with Elisha ben Avuya that the Gemara discusses, that he was nichnas lepaitis, that he had this spiritual experience. He had this understanding of Kabbalah, and through his experience with Kabbalah, something bad happened. Okay? The Gemara says, Arba nichnas lepaitis, that 4 people entered this garden, that Acher, so he went in and then he was kaitzis benetias, he became a heretic. And then one of them, Ben Zema, he became crazy. And Ben Azai, he died. And Rebbe Kiva, so he was nichnas b'shalom v'yatza b'shalom. He entered with peace and left with peace. And so I once heard that, the Gemara says that 4 people came in. 3 people got really, really messed up. The other guy, he left in peace. It doesn't even say that something good happened to him. And when we read this, we say, "Whoa, I gotta check it out." So that's it's interesting human nature. So what happens? The Gemara says on the next page. So what happened is that it has 2 stages. That he had the spiritual experience, and he was experiencing things in heaven. And when he saw in heaven, he saw that there was this angel called Matat, that he was sitting down. And he understood that it doesn't make sense that an angel should sit down, because Hashem is the king, and how could you sit down? Only the king can sit down. So the fact that he saw that this angel sitting down, he said, if the angel is sitting down, it must be that there's two forces in heaven. There's not really one God, there's really 2 gods. And that was his mistake. That was his heretical mistake that came about through his spiritual experience. Okay? So then he became a heretic. And then, a couple of days later, he was walking down the street, I skipped a part. So now, as soon as he left, so then he got very angry at this angel. because of this angel, he said, hey, how come you were sitting down? Why didn't you get up when Elisha ben Avuya came to see you? You should have thought and he punished him. They punished this angel with some kind of fire or something. There's some kind of punishment that for causing Elisha ben Avuya to come to this heresy. And then the Gemara says that because this angel was punished as a result of Acher, of Elisha ben Avuya, so then they gave this angel permission to mess with him, to test him. So then it says that there was a heavenly voice that came out from the sky, and the heavenly voice says, Shuvu banim shevivim chutz mi Acher, that all rebellious children should do tshuva, except for Acher, except for this guy, Elisha ben Avuya, that you're hopeless. You're hopeless. If you think that there's two things in heaven, you're hopeless. You have no place in the Jewish people. You have no place in Torah. And so then the Gemara says that he heard this and he said, whoa, well, if I don't have any hope, so then I might as well live it up. I might as well enjoy my life in this world. And says he went over to a prostitute and he says, come with me. And she says, aren't you the big rabbi? She was like, even the prostitutes were starstruck. Oh my gosh, you'd never believe who talked to me today. And so he was so frustrated. So it was Shabbos. It was Shabbos, and he walked over to some kind of vegetable, and he plucked it up. And that was he was trying to prove to her how not religious he is. And so you see. So she says, "Whoa, I guess you're not a rabbi. I guess you're Acher. I guess you're somebody else." So it's from that story that he was considered Acher. He was called Acher, and so that is the story of the fall, of the off the derech story of. Now it's an amazing story. He's we could really do a doctorate on this personality. It's incredible. He remained a Talmid Chacham, and Rebbe Meir continued to learn Torah from him even after he went off the derech. It's a fascinating story. What exactly was so hard to understand? How could it be that one of the greatest Tanaim, that he was so holy that he was able to bring the dead back to life, and he would fall to such a dark place that he would want to just do every avera and just. It's fascinating. It's mamish crazy, but I want to focus on this line of the story, that Shuva banim shevim chutz mi Acher. So now I told you the context. I told you that the story went that Hashem told this angel Matat that you can mess with him. We see that there was some element of deceit in this whole story, right? That this angel was angry with Acher because of Acher he got in trouble, and so he wanted to mess with him, right? So really, this whole heavenly voice thing, it wasn't actually real. So let me share with you what the Reishis Chachma explains about this. The Sefer called Reishis Chachma, that has a commentary in this in the Shara Kedusha. He writes that really this heavenly voice was simply a test. That when Hashem was saying, that when this heavenly voice was saying that everybody do tshuva except for Acher, so it doesn't mean that Acher can't do tshuva. What it really means is that Hashem wants that Acher did something so bad that you need to prove your loyalty so much that even when all the doors are being closed, you're not going to take no for an answer. And that's what it was a difficult tshuva. It was a difficult tshuva that he needed to do. He did something so bad that the tshuva was going to be more difficult, that the difficulty is that you're going to be told that you can't do tshuva. And there's this trend that people are telling you, people are going to tell you X, Y, Z, don't listen to them. So that's what the Reishis Chachma is saying. That Hashem is going to tell you that you can't do tshuva. Hashem is going to tell you that you're hopeless, and that's a test. You're supposed to say, no, I won't accept that. I need to be close to Hashem. I don't care that Hashem himself is telling me that I can't be close because it can't be. It doesn't make sense. I'm not going to accept that. I need to be close to Hashem. Hashem just has to figure it out. He's going to have to deal with me. And he says that this is the deeper meaning of the Gemara. It's a strange Gemara. You might have heard of it. The Gemara brings down Psachim that there's a statement that Kol asher yomar bal habayit aseh chutz mitzeh. That whatever the host tells you to do, you should do. You should listen to the host when he tells you to do anything. Chutz mitzeh, unless he tells you to leave. Ever heard this? It's a strange Gemara. I can say it's a strange Gemara as a host. If I tell somebody to leave, he better leave. But so what does it mean? It's really strange, right? Like, how could the Gemara say that if a host tells a guest to leave, he's not supposed to leave? Of course, he's supposed to leave. Right. Then, and besides the fact that what's it mean? Kol asher yomar bal habayit aseh. Like, you have to do everything that the host asks you to do. Like, that sounds like it's like the Gemara is setting up for like an abusive relationship between now we lock the door, and I was like, okay, the party's over, guys. and so the Sichot Haran says that this whole thing, this is not talking about Shabbos meals at the Kalsteins. This is talking about that there's another host. There's another host, and that is that Hashem is the host. Hashem is our host, and Hashem allows us to be His guests in this amazing world that He's created for us. And the Rebbe Nachman says that's what it means. Kol asher yomar bal habayit aseh. Whatever the host says, listen to him. Like he's the boss. He put you here. He created you. He put this whole situation. Like, just you really need to listen to whatever the boss says. Don't ask why. Don't just if the boss says to do it, then you do it. Chutz mitzeh. What's it mean? Chutz mitzeh? That what if the boss says? What if the host says, I don't want you anymore? I don't think that you just don't have what it takes. I don't enjoy your presence. Don't talk to me. Don't daven. I really. And he doesn't tell you this, but like you get the feeling that he's telling you this because like what Rebbe Nachman started with, like that if Hashem liked what I'm saying, then he would let me know in some way, and that it has to be that he just can't stand me. And like to me, it's very clear that Hashem is telling me to say. To me, it's very clear that Hashem is saying, I don't care that you're trying so hard. You just don't have what it takes. You're never going to be a Talmid Chacham. You're never going to overcome your anger. You're never going to overcome your laziness. You're never going to get anywhere in life. And it's clear to the person that's struggling and it's going nowhere. It's clear that Hashem is very clearly telling me that just give up. You're just pathetic. And so chutz mitzeh. If Hashem seems to tell you no, do not listen to him. Do not listen to him. That Hashem is just testing you. He wants to see how strong you are, because to a certain degree, that it is easy. It is easy when everything I try a tiny bit, and then everybody's cheering for me. So then it's not so impressive to be a good Jew when with every tiny effort that I make, I get instant gratification. So sometimes Hashem wants to see how loyal I actually am, and the test of how loyal I am is actually going to be that am I going to insist on being close to Hashem even when it seems that Hashem doesn't want me. So this is what it means. This is the Azut, the Kedusha that Rebbe Nachman is teaching us, and the moral of the story is that a person should not take no for an answer. That Hashem wants us to have Azut. Hashem wants us to be brazen. Hashem wants us to be very strong-minded. Hashem doesn't like pushovers. Hashem doesn't like people who are going to say, okay, whatever. Hashem likes people that are really, really strong. That a person, I'm a go-getter. I know that I was meant for this, and I'm going to have it. And there's a story with Rabbi Kotler. The ones that there was a student of Rabbi Kotler, so he was teaching in some modern Orthodox school, and so he wanted to bring his students to meet the Gadol. And so he brought these Modocs, 7th graders or something, and so they brought him to Moshe, and Moshe spoke in Yiddish, and he translated for them, and then they lined up, they were saying shalom to him, and then the one kid, so he said, tell the rabbi that I want a bracha to be a Talmid Chacham. And so that sounded great. So he said, so he told her that that if it's that this boy wants a bracha to be a Talmid Chacham, and Rebbe Aaron, I don't know why, but Rebbe Aaron said, I don't give brachas on being a Talmid Chacham. If you learn to be a Talmid Chacham. And this kid, so he told this kid what he said, and this kid got so angry, and he said, "Tell that rabbi that I'll learn, but he better give me a bracha. I want a bracha. I'm going to be Talmid Chacham." He's like, "No," and then he said that the Rebbe Aaron's like something switched, and he never in his life heard Rebbe Aaron give such a long bracha, such an elaborate bracha, that he gave him bracha that he's going to be a Talmid Chacham, he's going to know the Hoshas and the whole halacha, and he's going to have good midos, and he's going to have Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. He never heard him give such a long bracha, and so he understood afterwards that what did Rebbe Aaron see in this kid? Rebbe Aaron saw that this Azut, that this go-getter, I will not take no for an answer, and that's such a beautiful midah. And he appreciated that in the kid. He says, if you have that midah of Azut to Kedusha, then I bless you that this Azut will take you until the very end. Okay, and so this is what Hashem wants from us. Hashem doesn't want pushovers. Hashem doesn't want edel medals and people that are just yes sir, yes how high sir. And Hashem wants people with personality. Hashem wants people that are going to be very proactive, and this is true. This is true with davening. This is true. We didn't talk about this so much, but this is true with Torah as well. It's true with Torah as well. That it says Lanitna Torah Yisrael Adonish Azmim. Hashem only gave the Torah to the Jewish people because we're Azmim. Because if you're going to be a pushover, then you're going to misunderstand the Torah as well. That so much of Torah requires the understanding, the human compassion to understand that Hashem couldn't have meant that. That the basic understanding that if a person is not going to be present in understanding Torah, then they're going to be fundamentalists. They're going to be ISIS. They said, okay, I see from here. I'm reading the sources, and Hashem wants us to beat our kids. Hashem wants us, and Hashem, you can misinterpret everything if you're going to learn Torah like a pushover. So then you're going to misunderstand. You're going to come out with a false Torah. So Hashem said, I know that I can give the Torah to the Yidden because I know that they're strong. I know that they're azim. I know that if I tell them to do something that they know is wrong, then they're going to realize that they must have misunderstood. Okay, and that's why Hashem gave us the Torah. So I bless us all that we should not be afraid to speak our minds, not be afraid to be true to our values, not be afraid to be strong, to not take no for an answer, and through this Azut, so Hashem will take us back. Hashem will bring us close and help us to actually feel this closeness, to feel this connection that we know that we deserve, that Hashem wants us to know that we deserve, and to understand that all of this hiding, all of this distance, it's all a facade. It's just a way to bring out how much we really want Hashem. L'chaim.